SHALAM. Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Come on 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Under Command GEN.YAHANNA. Since 1969, we've been teaching blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians our true identity according to the Bible, which is the 12 tribes of Israel. Saying the Lord's chosen people, the only people that this holy Bible was truly meant for. And of course, that our oppressor, saying the same man that has been raping, murdering, and robbing natives for over 400 years, these same people that have been invading our lands till this day and taking everything we have, is nothing more than the devil that the Bible speaks of. Saying today we're going to be starting in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and let's say we're going to start in verse 15. Give everyone a second to go ahead and share the class. You know what I'm saying, tune in, do what it is that you got to do in order to, get this truth. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So, book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. So, meaning a time will come that if us as a nation don't listen to, saying that certain things will start to happen to our people. You know what I'm saying? Throughout generations upon generations of so-called natives, which are really the tribe of Gad. Saying, and we're about to learn to see if these things that will happen are good. You know what I'm saying, if they're bad. You know what I'm saying, in between. And we'll also learn, what these type of things are that is going to happen to our nation if we choose not to listen to the Lord. To observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. I'm saying, so the time we just talked about, I'm saying, it would come when us as a nation chose not to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. When we would sit there and decide that being a goddamn homosexual or, a pedophile, or a whore, a drug addict, somebody that worships, the earth or the sky, what I'm saying? All these different type of things that are considered transgressions to the Lord. I'm saying a time will come that if we don't listen to what the Lord told us to do, I'm saying if we committed these transgressions, that all these curses shall come upon thee. I'm saying those of us that don't know, curses is essentially, that harm will come upon our people. I'm saying not only physical, mental, or emotional harm, but it goes into, let's say, like spiritual. I'm saying it goes far beyond what us as a nation, what we can comprehend. I'm saying as a whole, even though we are one of the most spiritual people out there on the face of this earth. And overtake thee. Saying, me and these curses will be so goddamn strong that they are just going to completely overwhelm us as a nation. I'm saying the greatest nation and the strongest nation on the face of this earth is going to be overwhelmed by all these bad things happening to our people. I'm saying in curses, they can mean a plethora of things. It can mean, being a drug addict, an alcoholic. It can mean our women being whores, our men being homosexuals. I'm saying it can mean us loving our oppressor more than we love our own nation. I'm saying it can even go into, of course, our land being snatched from us. It can go into the sex trade. I'm saying so on and so forth. It could mean a lot of things that would come upon our nation as a whole. We're gonna go to verse 18. I'll give you a second to get there. So if you haven't yet, make sure that you share the class. I'm saying to any and every page that you know of. I'm saying do your part in order to make sure that our people get this truth so that we don't have to suffer from these curses that are prophesied in the Bible. I'm saying these curses that have plagued our people for generations and generations. I'm saying meanwhile, we don't know why it is that this is happening to our people. I'm saying when simply put it, it's happening to our nation because we simply defied the Lord. Because we decided to do our own thing instead of listening to what, the Most High God told us to do. Verse 18. Slacky. Verse 18. Curse shall be the fruit of thy body. See, when it's talking about the fruit of our body, I'm saying it's talking about our children that we produce, I'm saying, as a nation. I'm saying we're going to specifically go into how, these pipelines are destroying not only our land, but our nation as a whole. So when it talks about our children being cursed, you got to simply just sit there and look at what is it that our children are doing whenever we try to resist our oppressor, you know what I'm saying, with these pipelines. So our children they're sitting there and they're going out trying to be basically a resistance fighter to our oppressor. I'm saying they're the main ones on the front lines that are trying to stop the white man from stealing what is left of, so very little of our land. I'm saying they're the ones that are taking on all of the rubber bullets and the dogs, the main ones speaking out against what it is that is happening to our people. I'm saying, and by doing so, I'm saying that the youth of our community, our future generation, they end up being just thrown in jail for defending something that is rightfully theirs. Slack you. You know what I'm saying? And then they end up, they end up being pushed down, a wrong path by being thrown in these, jails or prisons for fighting for their own. Because when you wind up in jail or prison, you end up joining a gang, most likely. You end up getting into drugs. You end up being a homosexual. You end up hating your own brother, so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? It's the youth that's going to build our future nation, but yet they're separated from those that are, and they just end up completely straying away from the beliefs that were, initially taught to them in their youth. You know what I'm saying? Initially taught to them in their teens and whatnot. And then when they come out of the system, shoot, you know what I'm saying? They're just a completely different animal. They go from a freedom fighter to just, somebody that is looking out for themselves. You know what I'm saying? A selfish, wicked bastard just looking to fill whatever desire it is that they set their mind on. And the fruit of thy land, Slack. I'm saying that can go into, quite a few things with all the things going on with our lands concerning these pipelines being forced onto our people. I'm saying because it's not just the pipeline that happened. Shoot, what was it, like 4 years ago with the Dapple pipeline? I'm saying with all the resistance and the land theft and the treaties broken and people wounded. I'm saying, and all the acts of war committed against our nation. But till this day, we are still having, land stolen from us in order to, just get oil, in order for our oppressor to make just a little bit more money at the expense of either our lives or our way of life or, our land. So it don't matter what, little territory our oppressor considers it to be. You know what I'm saying? You can either be in South Dakota, North Dakota. You can be in Wisconsin. You can be in Canada. You know what I'm saying? You can be all the way down in Arizona or New Mexico. Our oppressor is going to make sure that he takes what it is that he wants from us as a nation. I'm saying not giving a damn about the final outcome to our people. It's lucky. And the fruit of thy land, You know what I'm saying? And our oppressor taking all this land from us that he knows houses, such things as crops and herbs, seeds. You know what I'm saying? All these things that are detrimental to the survival of our nation, but not only the survival, but the sustainability to our people. You know what I'm saying? He makes sure that he snatches these things away from us any chance that he gets. And then, because if he knows if he does these things, eventually we'd have to be, dependent on him. We'd have to go to him in order to get what it is that we need to survive. I'm saying that's been a common tactic through all the history of, our oppressor, the white man, invading our lands and trying to take what it is that we have. I'm saying it's been a common tactic to sit there and poison and burn down our crops or our water supply in order to achieve his ultimate goal of having us as his slaves. I'm saying, and until this day, that is our oppressor's ultimate goal, is to sit there and have Native Indians, blacks, and Hispanics as their slaves. It don't matter how much we sit there and, welcome them with open arms into our lands, or doesn't matter how peaceful we are, how much we pray for them, how much we sit there and promote a unity amongst our nations. The ways of our oppressor will never, and I mean never, ever change as a whole. I'm saying it don't matter how many of us are sacrificed or harmed, or I'm saying all these things, our oppressor will never see us as somebody that is equal or worthy of living on this earth to them. Which is why they can easily sit there and steal our land, cut off our crop supply, sit there and poison our water, because they simply don't give a damn about us as a nation. And they never have. And just because it is 2020, the 21st century, it don't mean a goddamn thing. Because till this day, these people are still doing the same things to our nation. They're still stealing land. They're still poisoning us. Still killing us and imprisoning us and all these different type of things. Yet we're the only people that still sit there and forgive and forget. Ones that still sit there and want a unity with these people, knowing damn well they don't give a damn about us. So lacking. The increase of thy kind and the flocks of thy sheep. And for those of us that don't know, kind is simply cattle. And obviously we know what sheep is. So it doesn't matter how many cattle is it we have, or sheep, no matter how much of wealth we've built off of these things. At the end of the day, these things are going to be ultimately destroyed, not only by the Lord, but by our oppressor due to the sins that we've committed against the Lord. When our oppressor sits there and he builds a pipeline on our lands, where he'll sit there and he'll, build his wall on our lands, desecrating what it is that, has lasted for centuries. Not only will our children or our Slovakia, our crops perish, but our livestock will suffer as well. I'm saying? Our livestock won't be able to sit there and graze as they need to in order to survive. And what little bit of land it is that we truly possess as a nation. I'm saying? Our livestock won't sit there and be able to be catered to and guided to the proper, grazing patches as they need to be, because we are cut off by not only, machinery owned by the U.S. government, but we're cut off by, military personnel guarding all these things that, the government is looking to establish on our own land. I'm saying, such as pipelines, such as these walls. I'm saying, knowing damn well that they don't really, have any type of purpose amongst, our oppressor. I'm saying, our oppressor really knows that a wall ain't going to stop Hispanics from coming into a land that is rightfully theirs, a land that was stolen from them long ago. Our oppressor knows that, a pipeline isn't truly going to cut the cost of them getting oil or any other type of, renewable resource. I'm saying? They simply do these things because they know that it will afflict the nation of Israel. So-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, just like they always have. I'm saying, just like whenever they came over here and they stole every single inch of land from, our people, so-called Native Indians, tribe of Gad. And just like whenever they sat there and stole all the land they could from so-called Hispanics. I'm saying, not giving a damn about the final outcome of these things, knowing damn well that, people, they'd have to be forcefully marched. Some people, they'd be murdered on the way. Some people would be abandoned. People would be tortured, starved, saying die of thirst. Children would be lost. The sick and the elderly would have to just be, left along the way. Belongings would be abandoned where they were. Abandoned to where just some random ass devil could come and take what you had and make it their own, and they build their own wealth off of it. These people, they knew what they were doing by stealing all of our land from us, all of our crops or our livestock. They knew what they were doing by imprisoning and murdering the youth of our nation back then. And it's a common tactic that is going to be used till this day until Christ returns. Until it is that us as a nation, we decide to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments and rise up against our oppressor, against every nation that is upon the face of this earth outside of the nation of Israel. I'm saying, only until then can our nation truly rise up out of these ashes. I'm saying, only until then can we start to better ourselves as a people. But until then, I'm saying, we're just going to continue to have our land stolen from us. I'm saying, our water poisoned, our livestock taken, or just randomly, slaughtered just because our oppressor wants us off of the land. and an abundance of atrocious things happen to the youth of our nation. We're going to go to verse 20. Give you a second to get there. Hey, Shalom, Yahabashim. What's going on, warrior? We're going to get started. Verse 20. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing. I'm saying, so the Most High God is going to send cursing upon, the nation of Israel, upon every tribe. I'm saying that's not no, imaginary red bastard under the ground that will send curses. It's not no sending these curses upon so-called Native Indians, on the so-called blacks and Hispanics. But it is the one and only God of Israel, I'm saying the true God of this earth, that's going to send curses upon the nation of Israel. Saying, for those of us that don't know, I'm saying, or punishment onto someone. So for instance, we can look at, our people that sat there and resisted the U.S. government. I'm saying? The judicial body of a nation that sat there and they sent military personnel with military weaponry, military vehicles, invasion from an opposing nation, saying, which was truly self-defense. I'm saying, if you want to be honest with one another, I'm saying, they sent the best that they had inside of their lands against so-called natives. And these people ended up sitting there and shooting tear gases at our people. I'm saying, while we were, obviously just sitting in the elements, damn near freezing to death. And there's reports of all these, police officers with this high-grade weaponry just laughing and making jokes about choking out the natives with tear gas, about sitting there and unloading rubber bullets upon, so-called Native Indians. And let's not forget that, there were not only elderly amongst those that were protesting pipelines back when the DAPL, pipeline was happening, but there were also, our youth. I'm saying there were children there that were trying to pull on the heartstrings of these people, of this nation, trying to get them to just leave. I'm saying, to leave land that was promised to our nation. It's lucky. But instead of giving into, to morality, instead of letting these children and the elderly sit there and persuade them to not only not take violent actions, but to leave the land that was rightfully theirs, these people gladly unleashed everything that they had upon our nation. I'm saying they would sit there and they would unload all the rubber bullets they could and unleash all the tear gas. They would gladly sit there in a barricade with riot shields, making sure that nobody could pass them in freezing, temperatures. Not only freezing temperatures, but they did so while protesters were in waist high water in the winter, just making sure nobody interfered with that pipeline. Nobody interfered with the prosperity of their nation. I'm saying that's one of very few things that they would do to our people. I'm saying, and not just make us wait out in the elements. I'm saying, not just harass us with all these different objects or chemical warfare. I'm saying, but there are plenty of reports of, the U.S. government sitting there and sicking dogs upon our people that were simply peacefully protesting them invading their lands and taking their lands and potentially poisoning their lands. And because we did these things, our oppressors sat there and did all these different, acts of war, all these horrendous things to our nation, not ever, ever issuing any type of apology to our people. I'm saying, let's not forget that these people have always done these type of things to our nation without truly giving a damn about it. One especially known is all the war dogs that our oppressor would sit there and, make sure that would rip our people apart. How they fed our goddamn babies to their dogs. I'm saying, for Christ's sake. I'm saying, they'd let people be ripped apart and completely devoured by dogs just for their amusement. Saying, you don't think that they got some type of amusement out of having, this nation of people just, sick their dogs on us? Saying, we know for a fact they got amusement out of it because they hired people outside of, outside of the police in order to use dogs. I'm saying, because that would apparently violate some type of agreement or treaty amongst natives and the U.S. So instead of doing that, they sat there and they hired an outside source, just an everyday person. I'm saying, somebody that simply trained their dog to sit there and protect them and their household. And the U.S. government gave them a little bit of money and be like, you know what? If you sick these dogs, slack it. If let me put it like this: if you sit there and you run security for this construction site with your dog, I'm saying, you'll be greatly rewarded by doing so. what I'm saying? You'll be able to push back some goddamn savages or terrorists, as they put it, if you just stood there with your dog, knowing damn well the capabilities of it. You know what I'm saying? They got plenty of interviews from all these goddamn devils that were running security for, this construction site and for the police department. They got plenty of interviews talking about how, they were hired on by the government. Plenty of interviews of them talking about the government telling them to let their dog do as it pleases whenever, somebody, trespasses on this land that was, given to this construction site. And in these interviews, you can see to where, these people, they truly have no remorse for what it is that they were doing to us as a nation. I'm saying they don't see, any type of, they don't get any type of sorrow out of a man's leg being ripped apart by their dog, a man's leg being ripped, a man's a man's leg or a man's arm being ripped apart by a dog that they trained up in order to do so, that was supposed to protect their household. I'm saying they see, this as a duty to their nation whenever they do these things. Which is why anytime you go and you look at these interviews that they would sit there and provide for either news stations or like individuals, just making some type of, news recording themselves, they'd have such pride in just what it is that they were doing for their people. I'm saying for America. I'm saying when in reality, you got to have just such hatred for people to just sit there and have a pride in this beast that you've trained up. I'm saying that was initially made to protect your household, but instead you use him for an act of war. You use him to destroy the limbs and the lives of the same people that your ancestors have destroyed and enslaved and just completely obliterated for generations, for 400 years. But yet, our people in American society want to sit there and talk about, oh well, it's 2020, it's a new age. Saying it's a time of unity and prosperity for all of America, for the whole world. I'm saying? There's no more racism in the land of America. I'm saying? They don't view us as savages. They don't view blacks as niggas and Hispanics as wetbacks and spicks. But yeah, all these people, Slovakia, all these white people walking around the land of America, all these white people that were in the reservations using their dogs as, in reality, war dogs. You know what I'm saying? They don't see it as such a way. You know what I'm saying? These people, they took pride in these things and they still saw us as savages. You know what I'm saying? And any Israelite, which is a black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, through the bloodline of your father, any Israelite, they you know what I'm saying, they simply saw them as an opponent that was in their way of ensuring victory for their nation. I'm saying it might be a new age, but it's still the same devils in this earth. It's still the same people that have the same spirit that are going to pass that spirit down to their children. It don't matter what age it is. I'm saying the scriptures say that these people will have a perpetual hatred for our nation. For those of us that don't know, perpetual means an everlasting, an unending hatred. So it don't matter if it's one or two of these devils. You know what I'm saying? Them as a nation, they will forever, and I mean forever, hate our people. No matter how much we sit there and try to accept them into, our ranks, into our culture, our society, so on and so forth. Shall send upon the cursing and vexation. So like, for those of us that don't know, you know what I'm saying, because a lot of our people, we don't sit there and look up the definition of words. I'm saying, which a lot of us out there in the world, you ain't the only ones. I'm saying a lot of brothers before they came into the school, we didn't used to look up, the definition of words. We didn't look into the history of these things. But when you come into the I.S.U.P.K, you get obviously a rude awakening in a plethora of things. I'm saying, but vexation is sloppy. Vexation definition is annoyed, frustrated, or worried. You know what I'm saying? And using the resistance that we, sat there and would hold up against, these pipelines and the theft of our land and desecration of our burial sites. Our these so-called leaders that were going on at the time, we'd sit there and we would express to the media, what it is that we were frustrated about. I'm saying there was an obvious annoyance amongst our little slacky, I'm saying, amongst our little group it was that was created in order to resist the ways of our oppressor. You know what I'm saying? There was obvious worry amongst those resisting, the invasion and the conquest of the white man. And you can look at any interview that was, done with the so-called leaders of, let's say, the DAPL pipeline. You know what I'm saying? And they express, obvious worry just in what it is that they would say and their actions and facial expressions. You know what I'm saying? There'd be obvious frustration and what it is that was going on, amongst those that were trying to push back just a, military force. saying if I could, most of those that were speaking out against these things, these so-called leaders, most of them were female. You know what I'm saying? And us as a nation, we got to realize that no female should be a military leader, should be a general or captain or an officer, should be a trooper, or, you know what I'm saying, and they should not be on the battlefield. You know what I'm saying? In dire need, obviously there's a need for a woman to be out there if it has to do with the survival of your nation, but at the end that are fighting for their people. You know what I'm saying? Fighting for the survival of their nation. You know what I'm saying? Even, for instance, let's say even when on the brink of collapse, on the brink of destruction, the Germans, they didn't sit there and send, men, women, and children onto the front lines. They didn't make sure that the women, got a gun or got in a tank or in an aircraft or into the slack, or into intelligence in order to do these certain things to be a soldier. You know what I'm saying? They made sure to arm the men, I'm saying the elderly men, you know what I'm saying, the young men of their nation. But yet we, you know what I'm saying, we're so different from these other people that we gladly welcome our women to join, whatever rank and order it is that we got, and we gladly welcome them in. You know what I'm saying? Support her household. She should be feminine. She should sit there and thrive. But instead into the military. You know what I'm saying? That's damn near our saving grace if a Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian views it. Saying, but if for instance, you know what I'm saying, all these countries in Asia, like Japan, you know what I'm saying, Vietnam, China, so on and so forth, especially Japan, if they can sit there and they can risk a bomb being dropped on their main cities, you know what I'm saying, their central cities, and they still not recruit women to fight, because obviously these people, they got a good understanding of what it is for a nation to run, for a nation to be prosperous, for people to survive, but yet they never allowed for any woman to sit there and dictate how things should go. But yeah, you look at any movement of the first, 21st century, and is a woman. I'm saying the top, let's say 3 or 5 heads of, somebody resisting something that is forced upon us by the U.S. government. They're always a woman. Shoot, I don't know, this goddamn disgusting French, the vile Germans, the stinking Arabs, the absolutely disgusting Africans and East Indians. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter what nation it is, their trust into, our women, and whether we accept it, believe it or not, that's simply a device, that was forced upon us by our oppressor, to a woman for assistance. And it don't matter how many of us sit there and say, oh, well, that was just the day of age. Now, there's an obvious reason, that we want to turn and rebuke. Salakia. Definition of a rebuke is disapproval or criticism of someone. So, for instance, whenever the Dapple pipeline, pipeline was going on, the leaders of, which were, obviously primarily women, let not only the entire U.S. know, but also our own Native communities. You know what I'm saying? They let us know that they didn't want anybody taking some type of, violent action. Salaki. Slakia, you know what I'm saying? Or, just really anything that meant, harm onto our oppressor. And their supposed reason for doing so was simply that they didn't want, they didn't want what happened to our ancestors in the past to happen to us. I'm saying, when in reality, it was really all due to our love for our oppressor. I'm saying, for the white man. Because we'd rather see him sit there and prosper among our own Slovakia, rather than, our own people come up above and to thrive and to survive above, those that have oppressed us for 400 years. So when in reality, what natives would have been doing is actually self-defense. I'm saying, because we, obviously the UPK, we don't condone in going out and committing acts of violence upon anybody. I'm saying, whether it's your brother, whether it's your, our oppressor, a goddamn African, Arab, Asian, East Indian, it doesn't matter. We don't condone in any type of violence. But what we do condone in is self-defense. And with the U.S. invading our lands and snatching what it is that we had from us, that, whether we accept it or not, due to the love that we have for our oppressor, that was truly an act of war. I'm saying, you look at any nation, and an opposing nation comes and they simply snatch land, they move in military forces. I'm saying, they consider that an act of war, and they would take action, in these type of things. And by doing so, that would condone in, self-defense. When you sit there and you defend your nation, your people, your land, your well-being, your way of life, your culture, your customs, your history from another nation, that is simply self-defense. But yet these so-called leaders of these movements of our nation, they sat there and they, disapproved of these type of things. They made sure that if you want to sit there and defend yourself, you know what I'm saying, you better just go home. You better forget about all that, because we ain't about that. So that whole goddamn movement, it was really just, you know what I'm saying, it really didn't mean a goddamn thing. Because all these leaders sat there and said, we ain't about defending, you know what I'm saying, truly defending our lands, defending our way of life, our people. Because at the end of the day, you can't defend your fucking nation by being, peaceful, by using your words and holding signs and making chants and giving gifts to your oppressor. I'm saying there's no type of defense, there's no type of unity in doing these things. And sadly, what happened 4 years ago with, you know what I'm saying, in South Dakota with Dapple, South and North Dakota with Dapple, that's going to be, it's going to keep happening again and again in every reservation, you know what I'm saying, that our oppressor sees fit to sit there and steal resources from. I'm saying it's happening in Wisconsin. It's about to happen in Wisconsin. It's happening in Canada right now. You know what I'm saying? The same thing that happened a couple years ago, and even, past a couple years ago. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously the same things that are happening today are happening, were happening back then in the past. Were happening in our lands, 400, 300, 200, 100 years ago. But yet our leaders in our community still make these same mistakes of sitting there and putting all of our trust and just everything it is that we have into believing that America is for Native Indians, knowing damn well that America was built off of white supremacy, knowing damn well that it was built to favor our oppressor and his entire nation. Slovakia. Slovakia. And rebuke. Okay, so we went over how our own people sat there and they would, Slovakia, our own leaders would sit there and disapprove of, actions taken from our very own people to defend our own lands. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, these so-called leaders, they would sit there and they would, obviously not speak out against us unifying with these same people that have oppressed us since, Columbus landed on the shores. I'm saying they want to speak out against these people that belong to the same nation that was invading our lands up until this day. But instead, they would welcome them with open arms. They would make sure to bring them into the fold because they thought that they would bring some type of, substance to what it was that we were doing. Because we just have too much faith in our oppressor and the white man. And then by us doing these things, by putting all this trust in him, by viewing him as something that is higher than he truly is, I'm saying what eventually ended up happening was, we started to lose foothold. We'd be pushed back. Our supplies would be burned, stolen, or poisoned. Our leaders would start to be arrested. Camps would be raided, so on and so forth. Tactics that were used, I'm saying, from way back then when our oppressor first invaded. And one thing that our nation should definitely take from this, besides obviously, keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, is realizing that our oppressor truly only has the the well-being of his nation, I'm saying, as his primary goal. So when this pipeline starts to get pushed harder and harder in Wisconsin, to where there's actual, blockades and thousands, if not, hundreds of people showing up to fight the company and the police force that are pushing this pipeline. For the tribe up in Canada that is, resisting and pushing all these things out on social media about what's going on. I'm saying it's for us to realize that no matter how wrong it is that they do us as a people, no matter how much we put it out there, for those that claim to be sorry for what it is they've done to us, or claim, what I'm saying, just claim to be sorry all around. These people, they will truly never change their ways as a nation. I'm saying, because as a nation, these people, they, at the end of the day, I'm saying, they will always have a hatred for us. And I don't just go into the pipelines and the theft that comes with them, but that also goes into Slovakia. But that also goes into what's happening in I believe it's Arizona, for instance, with this pink bastard building his wall to make sure that people that owned half of this land can't come back into their own land. You know what I'm saying? This same bastard that is destroying and desecrating burial grounds out in Arizona. You know what I'm saying? So when our people sit there and we try to, obviously fight for those that fought for our nation to survive, fight for those that sacrificed their lives in order to ensure that we could, live on, in order to ensure that we could continue on our traditions and our way of life that was passed down to us as a people. You know what I'm saying? It's very important for us to realize that these same people, they truly don't give, you know what I'm saying, a good goddamn about us. You know what I'm saying, whether it's past, present, or future. Because our oppressor, he can sit there and he can speak out against all the atrocities he's committed. He can speak out against these, vile things that should never have happened. But at the same time, he's still committing these same things to this day. And if he truly gave a damn about us as a people, and he truly cared about what it was that, his ancestors did, and if he truly cared about what it is that the U.S. is doing till this day, you know what I'm saying, then there would be an army. Should there would truly be an army of, white people showing up and speaking out against what it is that the U.S. government is doing against so-called natives. But yet these type of things, they're left alone. You know what I'm saying, just destined to to fade into the wind. It's like, I'm going to go to verse 23. Gonna go ahead and get into it. And that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. I'm saying, if you can't, break that down, you can obviously tell that that's, talking about the prisons or the jails that we would wind up in. I'm saying, as a whole, as a nation. I'm saying we would sit there and we would resist the invasion of our lands and put our lives on the line and be, attacked and disfigured and mutilated by dogs and have all this different gas affect our respiratory and immune systems and so on and so forth. I'm saying at the end of the day, we would wind up in our oppressors, prison system. I'm saying in his jails, and obviously due to him being just, the devil. I'm saying the racist, wicked, and vile bastard that he is, he truly would never give a damn about what it is that he's doing to us as a people. I'm saying, because anybody out in the land of America, they know that natives don't have the money to sit there and bail their people out of jail, out of out of prison. I'm saying knowing damn well that they should not be in the system because we're simply defending what is rightfully ours. I'm saying all of America is ours. But you let, people in the world, the citizens tell it, we lost the war. So therefore, we got a small portion. But even then, all the land that we live on as a nation, that was given to us and promised and guaranteed to us through treaties, by the U.S. government. Not only the U.S. government, but even, up in Canada, that land is promised to, all the Gadites through there. It's something that's supposed to be guaranteed, supposed to not be touched, supposed to be governed and ran by the tribal people. But yet our oppressors, he just always seems to butt in and start to run things how it is that he sees fit. I'm saying, because if it was truly ran by our nation, I'm saying, shoot, if we truly even had a solid nation behind all of it, he wouldn't have been able to invade our lands. He wouldn't be able to, invade future lands, which is what he's doing in Arizona, Wisconsin, Canada. But instead, the only thing that we can do as a people is sit there and try to go to him for help to try to stop the little invasion that it is that they're, committing against our people. So like, this will be our last scripture. Verse 24. This is right, obviously right under 23. The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. Obviously, if rain and power were to come down upon our lands, even figurative, and that there would be no type of substance to what it is that is coming down. There's no way that our crops could grow or prosper, thrive, survive, however it is that you want it. You can sit there and you can look at all these, oil spills that are happening onto our lands. All these future oil spills that are happening. And all this liquid that is spewing out and coming down onto, our crops and our livestock. These things are going to do nothing more but ensure the death and the destruction of our crops and our territories, which if obviously if our rain were to be dust, then there'd be no, there'd be nothing but death to the crops that it is that we try to grow. So I can read that from the top. Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. Heaven shall come upon thee until thou be destroyed. So all this oil that is spewing out of these pipelines and coming down into our water supplies and into our fields of crops, is doing nothing but poison them and make it so that we can't properly grow and harvest and survive off of these things. And then when it's brought out that these these things that we spoke out against as a nation, when we say that these things would happen and our oppressor sits there and blatantly denies it, You know what I'm saying? And then acts like he's done nothing wrong. You know what I'm saying? That just goes to show you the mentality that these people have towards us as a nation. Saying that that's not only the oil spills, but that's also, what's happening in Arizona with what the government is doing in order to build, Trump's wall, which, what I'm saying, for those of us that don't know, I'm saying they're moving through native land, erecting their walls, I'm saying blowing up areas, I'm saying doing whatever it is that they can in order to make sure that what they want to happen essentially, succeeds or prospers. Knowing damn well that was land that was promised to us, I'm saying long ago by their ancestors. Slovakia. Wrap up the class though. I'm saying one thing us as a nation that we have to realize is that no matter how much, we sit there and love our oppressor and try to join ourselves to him, he's always going to make sure to do any and everything in his power to afflict us as a nation, to do any and everything to ensure that his people get some type of benefit that will help them move things along, even if it means risking the well-being of another people. So we're going to go ahead and get into the security announcements. We're the I.S.U.P.K. Start out 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Book of Numbers, chapter 18 and verse 21. Book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. It means tenth in the Hebrew. Ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund. It's a free will offering for priests. It's not mandatory. It's whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. Our next high holy day is the Passover, which is April 9th, which is going to be hosted in New York. I'll be sure to get the proper date and location for everybody that is interested by the next class. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, or a war scarf. So with that said, I majum, which means a stand. Upani hakwadam, which means turn and face the east. We're going to start with the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawu, Shabashamayim, Quadash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwaka, Taba'ah, Ratazayika, Hayah, Aisha, Barataza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashamayim, Natan, Lanawa, Lakam, Call, Yawam, Wasalakanawa, Kabawathinawa, Slaki, Wala'a, Tavayainawa, Banasai, Slakia, Banasaya, Slakia, Banasaya 1, of Ball, Hawashayinawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwath, Wa Allah, Wa the Parith, Lawalamyam, Aman. The Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Amen. The perfect hakak, or the power in the English. Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Babakashah, Natananahu, Hakak, Hakak, La Rapa'ah, Kal Makalah, will call Marawa, Hakak, La Tahar, Hamatazarayim, Hakak, La Hakim, Hamathium, Hakak, Al Rakawath, La Tamala, La Garsham, Ba'ashem Yahushai, the water Aman. Perfect the power in the English. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahushai, thank you. So be it. The perfect the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh, wa Yahushai, wa Miakalu, wa Lahayim, Matazaviyah, Alawap Yahanna, Slagia, Halawapium, Hazaranyum, Hakwatazayanyum, Hakayayayum, wa Kwathian, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, the water Aman. Perfect the blessings in English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Yahushai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yahanna, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, thank you. So be it. Blessed are you, Yahweh, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, listen to us now, right now. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction, and death to the heathen that speak against us, thy prophets, the teachers, the princes, the priests, the Israelite brothers, and the school. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction, and death to the heathen, and shake loose the pockets of the rich of Israel that refuse to give to the school. Force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction, and death to the Edomites, and the nations, and their drug dealers, the court system, prison system, Planned Parenthood, all the governments of our enemies, Amalek synagogues and armies, Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, Islam, Christianity, Egyptology, militia, Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Nation, skinheads, Posse Comitazi, the gay movement, the lesbian movement, spies, workers of witchcraft, NASA space programs, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Wall Street. Open up the internet and the airways, the cable access channels, the radio channels. Convict the spirit of any of thy people that seek to stop us, and bring swift death to all the heathen that stand in the way or try to stop us from broadcasting your words throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the terrorists, cause them to go to and fro throughout the earth and destroy. Cause the terrorists to come against America and destroy them in their strongholds. Let America shake at that slacking. Let America shake at the hands of the terrorists. Let Yahushua, Michael, and Gabriel come down with the flying saucers and kill all the heathens that come up against us as we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all that it is the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread throughout the media, throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake at thy coming. In the name of Yahushua, thank you. Always, so be it. Sar, which means a turn. Gonna give a courtesy salute